When we last left off here, a lot of the villains or remaining villains that were alive decided to team up for, well, their own survival. And, well, here's the funny thing, right? Sonny managed to kill Joker while Killer Frost managed to kill Clayface dressed as the Joker. So obviously there are some divergence to this timeline, but again, I think everything's going to end out pretty well. But unfortunately, Nemesis was still around, infecting people, still causing pandemonium and mayhem throughout Arkham City. And so when it got to Wonder Tower, it was caught in the explosion. Keep in mind, it would be in this dog form at this time, as Sonny beat the crap out of it pretty early on in the story. And this is where we now have the final version of Nemesis, its final form in all of its glory, with Batman, Robin, Killer Frost, and Sonny all getting ready for one final squabble with this new of Nemesis. Let's begin. Everyone starts evading all the tendrils immediately, getting around, trying to, get around everything and just dodging everything that Nemesis can pretty much throw at them. Batman even utilized the electric generator down there to even shock Nemesis while Frost tries to freeze him. However, it's not quite enough. They can't put him down for some reason. However, this is where Robin notes something. There are 3 hearts. This dude literally has 3 hearts. And when Sonny also sees this, he says, "Think that's it?" Robin's like, "Yeah, this has to be it. It's 3 hearts." To which he says, "Okay, then we need to find a way to slow him down." But they have to dodge another tendril. But considering the sheer fact that Nemesis' final form keeps him almost bound to the bottom areas of Wonder Tower, they have the advantage. They could utilize their agility, their maneuverability to get around Nemesis. And well, seeing that he has 3 hearts, this is where Batman begins to come up with a plan, a strategy, if you will. And he says that they're all going to find a way to target these 3 hearts. No matter what, get those hearts, with everyone pretty much agreeing here. And this is where we actually see a coordinated assault. The first one to take out a heart is Killer Frost, being able to use her ice manipulation at a long range while he's distracted with obviously Robin, Batman, and Sonny. She's able to get a heart pretty quickly, and in all honesty pretty effectively as well. So Nemesis, 1 heart down, while the others are simply trying to find a way to get in close. And this is where Sonny gets another heart by simply having enough and diving in there claws deep and simply just shattering the heart instantly. It's a messy scene, but again, when you have enough of something, you pretty much have enough. And this is where Nemesis, now realizing what's going on, begins to try and divert all of his attention and all of his body mass to try and cover 1 heart. And so this is where Batman says they need to get to it, otherwise he's going to be a real problem. And this is where Killer Frost and Sonny work together to give Batman and Robin that opening. So first, this is where Frost actually freezes the area that Nemesis pretty much contracted around his heart. And Sonny, utilizing his strength, is able to shatter it like glass, allowing Batman and Robin to throw a conjoined batarang and birdering into the heart and blowing it up. This is where Nemesis just begins to kind of dissolve at this point. It's a very grotesque scene as his body just goes limp and then just disintegrates entirely. And this is where everyone asks, is he really dead? To which this is where Sonny's like, should we confiscate the remains? To which Frost is like, I'm not touching it. And Robin's even like, I'm not touching it. And this is what Sonny says, well, that's on you, Batman, because I'm not touching it either. So Batman, understanding that it does need to be done, does manage to confiscate the remains of, well, Nemesis the best that he can. While some of it is just kind of flown into the sewers and ravines and stuff, so it's kind of just over there. But now they have to turn their attention to another situation, that being, well, Arkham City still has a lot of infected around, but there are still innocents or still political prisoners, but there are also the inmates as well. They're still around and about. They're still here just kicking, acting like they ain't do nothing wrong and everything. But again, they do need to save them. So this is where Batman does use the remains of Nemesis and gets it back to Mr. Freeze, where we would actually see Chris, Jill, and Leon there pretty much just, chilling with Mr. Freeze. However, Mr. Freeze tries to strong arm them like in the original. Don't know why. That's not a smart idea. But again, it's kind of what Mr. Freeze did in the original, trying to strong arm Batman with just one remaining cure. So this is where Sonny, not in the mood, mind you, because after everything that's happened, he makes sure that Freeze gets the absolute point that he's not playing. He makes sure to pin Freeze down, crush his suit slowly. And when I mean slowly, it's like he digs his claws into him, or digs his claws into the suit, and then begins applying pressure to where he pretty much gets the point across that if Freeze does try this again here, he's going to, I don't know, maybe kill him in this instance. And while, Sonny is not a murderer or anything, and while Batman would definitely disapprove here, this is where Frost and the others pretty much note that Sonny is bluffing, but again, it's looking very, convincing, mind you. So, Mr. Freeze ultimately does give them the cure, and well, this is where everything just goes right back to normal. However, how do they get the cure airborne? Well, I'm going to say it's because of Ivy. Ivy, utilizing her plant manipulation or the area that she's in, is pretty much able to use it to just disperse the cure all over Arkham City. Keep in mind, this is a small portion of Gotham, so while it can be taxing, it doesn't ultimately drain or kill her. So Ivy pretty much just saves everyone in Arkham City. Any of the inmates that are pretty much just cured or, that weren't infected, pretty much go back to living their lives. However, there is some slight changes. Remember in the original, Two-Face, due to his, area, is ultimately dead here. With the only one being alive is Penguin, because, again, the Joker does die here. So this does change a lot for the upcoming Batman Arkham Knight. But let's not talk about that right now. Some things do utterly change with how the events of Arkham City pretty much unfolded. Everything seems to go back to normal, or at least almost. Sonny has decided that he does need to change the scenery, at least away from Gotham a little bit. And this is where he actually does take Stars upon their offer fully and joins them, pretty much giving them a whole entire monster as a asset and benefit for their team. So yeah, everybody gets to win. And Killer Frost also joins him. However, they are accompanied by someone else, that being Poison Ivy. But this is not where we get the happy ending that you were all expecting, right? There are still some things that need to be done. And one of the few things is still, where's Wesker? Where did he go? They lost him in Arkham City, but where? And this is where we actually see a little bit of a montage, if you will. Wesker is distributing DNA samples from a canister that contains a very peculiar being. He begins to give them out to just about any worker. However, he's got his own little plans. You see, he begins distributing these products to the Benoy archipelago. This is where he gives them to a scientist in Benoy, Palanai, and even one in Los Angeles. But, as always, Stars has been tracking him for quite a while, but they just, never been able to figure out what he's doing. But they know something's off. Something's in that canister. Or maybe it's someone in that canister. They can't quite put their, finger on it, at least not for the time being. But right now they know that whatever's in that canister is very dangerous and likely world-ending. So they decide to divide up into teams. Jill and Chris go to Los Angeles. And again, the idea is to lay low, as they don't want Wesker to pretty much, notice them coming his way. And this is where we also see, other teams go. We actually see Leon and Ada yes, I'm definitely going to say Ada's here as well in this timeline. And they pretty much go to that island. All right, they go over there and they go to, sorry, they go to Palanite, excuse me. However, this is where Killer Frost, Sunny, and Ivy are the ones to go to Benoit. And with them actually having to blend in, they decide to blend in with the party. It's so simple and yet so easy. What could possibly go wrong, right? Yeah, but everyone's having a good time. Everyone's enjoying themselves, even though Sunny can draw attention. I mean, it's a whole Deathclaw. I don't know how he was supposed to camouflage, but he tries to look natural, tries to look normal. And again, this does manage to work somewhat. However, some things do go, unexpectedly, but they do go into a favorable fashion. One night, during one of the few parties on the island, the three of them wind up sleeping together. And so it's kind of like a heat of the passion moment where we have Ivy getting drunk, Frost getting drunk, and Sunny's kind of just there like, oh crap, what's going to happen with this? And so all three of them do wind up sleeping together, and, well, unfortunately, fortunately for them, while they're in the hotel room getting busy, the whole Dead Island thing does happen. The early massacre and everything, all happening. And, well, the next morning, while everyone's feeling good about themselves, Sunny realizes that it just feels a little too quiet. And then he looks out in the window and sees that there's a lot of destruction. And he wakes up and is wondering, did I do that? Was that me? I could have sworn I was in here, but did I do something? And this is where everyone, Ivy and Frost both look out the window, still nude by the way, and they're all just looking like, nah, that wasn't you. You was definitely up in here causing a different kind of destruction. But at the moment, everyone gets their clothes on, and Ivy simply asks, so, regular thing? And everyone agrees, regular thing. So, with that being said, they investigate the rest of the hotel, even finding one of the security guards. And he explains what happened. That, well, yeah, there's a whole outbreak now. They don't know how the infection happened. They don't know how it got to the island. And this is where they all begin to put 2 and 2 together, or pretty much 3 and 3 together, and they come up with 9. So they understand that Wesker was behind this somehow in some way. But right now, they need to figure out how to stop this, maybe cure it. And so this is where everyone begins to make their way out of the hotel, but they do have to fight through infected, thugs, and walkers pretty easily. I mean, it's light work for everyone here. Ivy's able to utilize any plants around her. Then we have Frost doing her usual thing and just freezing them. Everything just goes smoothly. But this is where they also have to make their way to the lifeguard house, where they have to save Cinemoy, just like in the original story. And so this is where they come into contact with one of the few people that they know is immune, or at least one of the few characters from the story that is immune. And we're going to have this one actually be Sam B. So Sam here pretty much notes that, yeah, he's immune, but he doesn't know anything about it. And so they actually invite him to, well, tag along with them. I mean, they're obviously going to be here for a while, and the fact that they could probably use this opportunity to maybe make a cure for the island. Albeit Sam's not too really fond of being poked and prodded, but they do admit that they don't want to do that. Right now, they honestly just want to just help him. And maybe they can find a way to get him out of here and make sure he's not, experimenting on like some guinea pig. So Sam agrees, and well, they go through the whole campaign, saving any civilian around, but this time is different here. While they do go to the lifeguard tower, they understand that right now they can't really manage all like that. They can't manage both the lifeguard tower and the lighthouse, but they need to make their way to the lab. But they also need to check the rest of the island. It's very interesting how they have to navigate this kind of situation. But right now, they're kind of like in a conundrum. Like, we should do this. No, we should do that. No, we got to do this. And then we got to do that. Until they all agree that right now, they do need to find food. That's important. They need these people to survive somehow. And so, with that being said, yeah, they go on their way to find food. But this does lead them into going into the city. So, believe it or not, yeah, they are going to have to fight against the, what's it called? The Ram. And I do believe this goes pretty smoothly. I don't think there's any if, and, or buts about it. This does go smoothly, and well, after defeating the Ram, they discuss everything with the nun, get the water supplies back on for the church, and then they make their way to the supermarket, where we can actually see Sonny tearing apart the thugs, or pretty much the gang members that pretty much inhabit the supermarket at this point. And after getting their own fill of the food, they decide to take the rest of it, or pretty much anything they just, thought would at least keep the church alive. They bring it there, they bring it back to the lifeguard tower, and they bring some to the I almost said the White House. The lighthouse. So, yeah, so far, everything is going smoothly. No issues just yet, right? However, this is where that changes when they make their way to the forest. And when they encounter a butcher, they encounter the bloater in the sewers, then they encounter the butcher, all right, in the forest. This is where Sonny is like, okay, we need to note something. This virus seems to be adapting somehow. And he's not sure if it's environmental or in response to some kind of reactive adaptation. To which Frost pretty much notes that that's a pretty big observation. Are you sure? But considering they do have a scientist there, that being Ivy says that she could probably come to a conclusion with it. But again, it would cause her to, study one of these zombies. So believe it or not, after going through some of the story, they do make their way to the lab. However, unlike in the original, I'm going to have the lab be already abandoned and already cleared of scientists. Some of them are alive, but just locked away in different parts of the facility, to which Ivy now has the laboratory all to herself. And so she actually begins experimenting on one of the zombies they find, that being a bloater. Considering there is more stuff to work with a bloater, and that is not a fat joke, by the way. I'm just saying, it's just the bloater's just got a whole lot more meat on its decaying bones. Yeah, I think that's probably the best way I could put it. I'm not sure. And this is where, when Ivy begins to dissect and experiment on it here, or sorry, not experiment, pretty much just gets to analyze on it here, she realizes that, they do have an issue. These bloaters, these zombies are adapting. But for right now, they don't know how. There is no sort of warfare on this island. This seems to be like a early stage. To which this is where Sonny pretty much takes notes and simply states, what do you mean early stage? Early stage of an infection? Or early stage of something more? And to which Frost says that it's very possible it's something more. Right, Ivy? To which Ivy does agree with her. It's definitely something more. There's some type of, maybe there's some type of organ that's similar in all the zombies, but she is going to have to, see that. And this was one, the scientists they rescued pretty much knows they did keep some of the zombies in cages for further experimentation. So, making his way to the cage, Sonny manages to easily kill a butcher, while Frost simply disables a infected runner. So, believe it or not, bringing those two back, Ivy's now able to analyze everything about them. She's able to finally find out that there is something connecting all of these zombies. But it's not here. It's either on one of the other islands. But right now, they need to figure something out. And to which this is where Sam says, okay, you think you guys can make a cure out of my blood? To which this is where Ivy says, unfortunately, the materials for that are likely not here. So right now, they're kind of in a conundrum of their own. So this means they can't cure the island. So this is where Frost says, then what are we going to do about all the innocent people? We can't just, leave them. And to which this is where Sonny simply states, we may not have a choice. There's very little that they can do as it is. And if we bring those people together, what's to say they won't get torn apart? What's to say there won't be any consequences to their actions? or, you know, any of the choices that they're going to just make down the line. And this is where, understanding that they may not have a choice but to leave, they decide to try something. So managing to get the nun, the Cinemoy, and the one dude from the lighthouse, they're able to make them agree on something, that they have to be able to find a way to survive together. And well, unfortunately, that is going to be a while. Meanwhile, Frost, Sunny, Sam, and Ivy all try to find a way to leave the island of Benoy without any of them noticing. But they may realize they need to get to the prison in order to find someone, or in order to get to the medical supplies that they need to possibly make a cure. And that's where I'm going to leave it all here, you guys. Please comment down below, like, and subscribe, and share with your friends. This is Legendary Grimlock, and I hope you guys have a blessed day. Peace.